What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today I wanted to make a video going over my 2015 F-150 that you see here behind me. And as you can tell, it's a little bit windy out here, so I think I'm gonna grab a hat, put that on so my hair's not flopping around the whole video. All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. Hopefully the wind noise is not too bad on the audio. I've tried filming this video a couple times now. I got a new camera, and so I've kind of been messing around with the settings on it and the mic setup. So hopefully it looks good. Hopefully it sounds good. Let's do a quick walk around on the truck. So it is a 2015 F-150. It is the XLT model. It is the Ecoboost engine. So it's the 3.5 liter V6 twin turbo under the hood. If you're like me, you kind of like keeping things as close to factory as possible, especially when it comes to your daily driver, but you don't like them completely bone stock because you like to, do some little things and kind of make it yours. So I'll kind of go over what I've done to my truck and the reason why I did what I've done to it. And then, yeah, hopefully this video can help anyone else out that has an F-150. So starting with the exterior, this thing has a slight level on it. So what I ended up doing was I went with the Bilstein 5100 struts in the front as well as the rear. Now, if you kind of look at it, it's not completely level. There's still a little bit of rake. The rear is still a little bit higher than the front. But I'll zoom in here so you can see. There's the Bilstein. Now, the reason why I went with the Bilsteins is because, for any guys that don't know, the front struts, you can adjust them. So I think there's 5 different kind of levels you can do. I ended up putting it onto the second one from the bottom, right? So I think it gave about 1.25 inches lift in the front, maybe 1.5 inches, not exactly sure, but I didn't want it to be too high to where, the ball joints and all that stuff are at bad angles and whatnot. I still wanted it to ride good. I didn't want it to hit bumps and be super harsh like some, guys that put like 3-inch levels on it and whatnot. If you notice here in the back, I do have the Husky wheel liners for the rear, so that's why it's kind of blacked out behind the wheel. If you guys know what these trucks look like stock, you would know that you can basically see the frame through the wheel, and it's not a good look. It does have a bed liner that is kind of dirty. And then I do have one of those tailgate assist, the DZ tailgate assist right there, as you can see. Makes it super easy if you're opening and closing your tailgate a lot. Let me pull up my phone here. I actually have a list of the things that I've done to it so I don't forget anything. One thing I did do on the back as well, this truck was having some kind of weird clunking noise for a little bit of time, and I tried to do some research the best that I could. Ended up buying some aftermarket leaf spring bushings, which I don't really know if you're gonna be able to tell, but they sit in between the 2 leaf springs in the front and in the back, so there's 2 on each side. From the factory, these wear out, and whenever they do, basically the leaf spring, it's like metal on metal hitting each other whenever you're going over bumps and whatnot, which that can make a really weird clunking noise. So I ended up going with some aftermarket ones from a company called ATQ, and so far so good. I haven't heard any clunking noise and whatnot, and yeah, it's riding good. With the setup that I have with the Bilstein shocks front and rear, a little bit of level in the front, and then those leaf spring bushings, the isolator pads, it definitely drives good. It drives like a new truck for sure. I don't think that I need to replace any like suspension components just yet, but it's definitely in the back of my head just because the truck does have, let's see, I think it has 130,000 miles on it now. So, maybe at some point in the future, if I decide to raise it up a little bit, I might rip out the whole front suspension, do the new lower ball joints, upper ball joints, tie rods, raise it up a little bit more, get it realigned. And yeah, then it'll be riding really nice, but it still rides good. For a 2015, it's basically a 10-year-old truck. It still runs and drives great. So if you guys notice, whenever I got out of the truck, I do have the amp research steps. So they're automatic steps that come down when you open the door, and then they go back up when you close it. Those were already installed on the truck whenever I got it, so I luckily didn't have to install those, but I've always wanted a set of those on my truck, and so it's been pretty cool having them on this thing. Now, the most recent modification that I did to this thing, which I would say is arguably the biggest one out of them all, is I ended up going with an aftermarket downpipe on the truck. The truck was throwing a check engine light, and whenever I ran the code, it came back with a catalytic converter. I believe it was P0430. I did a bunch of research on it and ultimately came to the decision to just go ahead and replace the downpipe, because I was 99% sure that the catalytic converter had failed. Wasn't an O2 sensor or anything like that. The P0430 code that shows up is just for the passenger side. Sure, I could have just bought the passenger side cat for around $600, something like that, give or take. But I figured if the passenger side one was failing, then the driver's side one was gonna fail at some point, you know, in the near future. And the driver's side one was like, I don't even remember exactly, but it was not cheap. It was like maybe $900, something like that. So like, total replacing the passenger side and the driver's side with factory replacement cats was going to end up being well over $1,000, you know, close to like $1,300, $1,400. I started looking at aftermarket options and ended up going with the CVF catted downpipe. The only reason why I didn't want to go with aftermarket is because I didn't want a high flow catalytic converter, because I figured it would make the truck sound louder, and I didn't really want that. Main reason is because I don't really like the way that the V6 Ecoboost trucks sound with exhaust systems. I'm not a huge fan. I'm more of a V8 kind of guy. I just didn't want the V6 noise, and I didn't want any extra drone coming out the rear end. So the way that it's set up right now is I have the high flow, you know, CVF aftermarket mid pipe, but the rest of the exhaust, the catback, is all completely stock. So it's actually set up really cool, and I'm glad that I went with this. It's pretty cool because it basically just made the turbos, you know, twice as loud, and exhaust noise out the rear is basically the same. You know, it might be similar to like a stock Raptor. I mean, it's a little bit louder. You can definitely hear a little bit more whenever you do cold starts and whatnot, but when you're just normal driving it, you have the windows up, radio on, it sounds completely stock, honestly. And you don't even really hear the turbos either, unless, you know, you have the windows down and you're like cruising through neighborhoods and whatnot. Let me see if I can get a little bit of a video shot of the downpipe, because it's actually really, really nice. It's stainless steel, 3-inch tubing, very, very easy to install. I believe that I paid around $750 for the whole downpipe, so you know that came with the driver's side and the passenger side cat. So compared to going with the factory, it's like half the price, and it sounds better, probably gave a little bit more performance. I'm definitely happy that I went with that on the truck. Let me pop the hood real quick, just kind of show you guys some things that I've done under here. I'm sure you guys can already guess what it is that I've done, because it's pretty common on these trucks. So pretty much all stock under here, as you can see, stock intake, nothing crazy going on. The only thing that I've done that I want to show and kind of talk about a little bit is the JLT catch can for the passenger side. If you guys have one of these on your truck, or if you've seen them on other trucks, you're probably wondering why it's set up like the way it is. So it's missing the bracket that it's supposed to have. Bracket ended up breaking, and so trying to fix it at the moment, but for now I just put a zip tie on it right here just to kind of hold it in place, but it still operates like it should. So there's really nothing else that I have on the outside. I guess the only other thing that I could say that I've done is it's got a short antenna on it, and the badges have been plasti dipped black, which I think look pretty cool, you know, with the silver paint that the truck has. Let's jump into the inside, and I'll kind of talk about what I've done in here. Again, it's nothing really crazy going on. The only real major upgrade that I've done on the interior is Husky floor mats, which, you know, it's nothing crazy, but I got those in the front, and then I also have the one in the rear, which I need to clean that. Now, I did actually already buy the parts for my next upgrade on the truck. I'll show you guys what it is that I'm going to be doing to it. If anyone has a 2015 F-150, you know that these things come with the Sync 2 head unit, and This is something that I've been wanting to upgrade for a while, and I just was kind of putting it on the back burner just because, you know, the Sync 2 works fine. I listen to the radio, it connects to the Bluetooth, and that's all I really ever use it for. But I've been noticing that whenever I want to use the maps on my phone, I either have to set my phone down here, or I have like a phone holder that I can put right here, but then it kind of blocks the air vent. So I finally pulled the trigger and I ended up buying a Sync 3 head unit to put into the truck. And then I also got a wireless adapter so I can have CarPlay wirelessly, don't have to plug in my phone every single time. So I ordered those parts yesterday, I believe it was. So they will be here pretty soon, and I plan on making a video, you know, installing that and kind of going over and seeing what it's like to have CarPlay in the truck. All right, so I guess the last thing that I'll say that I am sort of planning on doing, but I don't know exactly if I'm gonna do it yet or not, but I have been contemplating getting a bed cover for the truck. I don't know exactly which one I want to do. I like the ones that are the tri-fold, that fold 3 times, and then, you know, you can either set it up against the window or you can fold it 2 times and kind of have it open, whatnot. But I also like the ones that are kind of like the roll style. I don't remember exactly which company makes it, but there's one that is pretty sleek and it rolls up nicely. And then the reason why I like that one is because if you roll it up all the way, it doesn't completely block the back window. So I'll probably end up going with that one if I do. But the only reason why I haven't got a bed cover is because I don't really have that much of a use for it. I mean, I park this thing in my garage, so it's not like it's outside all the time. Also, I don't really ever have much back here whenever I drive around and park in parking lots and whatnot. I just always liked the look, and I always thought that they do come in handy sometimes, but I don't know if $1,000, you know, is worth it or not for me at this point. But I may end up doing it at some point in the future. So I know this was a pretty quick video, but hopefully for anyone out there who has an F-150 and you're thinking about doing some kind of modifications to it, I would definitely say if you have an Ecoboost, get a catch can, without a doubt. That's like the #1 thing that you could do if you have an Ecoboost. Having a catch can definitely is needed for the PCV systems that are on these trucks. Now the second thing that I would say that's important is the downpipe. If you have an Ecoboost, I'm fairly certain that because it's a turbocharged vehicle, the catalytic converters, they clog up a little bit faster, which is kind of unfortunate. But, you know, if you're on the fence of needing to replace a catalytic converter and you're trying to decide if you want to go with factory or aftermarket, if you go with this CVF, it's definitely worth it. Doesn't make it that much louder, it's just the turbos are a little bit louder, which I think is pretty sweet. For half the price, it's hard to beat. So that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. I know I haven't uploaded in a while. Life just kind of got in the way. Unfortunately, I don't have any Mustangs at this time, but my brother did just end up buying a 2015 Focus ST. I believe it's the tuxedo black color, and it is the ST3, so it's like the upgraded package. It's got the leather Recaros. I'll definitely get some footage with that, and if there's anything else that, you know, I end up getting for the truck, I'll definitely film some content for that. I will say, as fun as this thing is for a daily driver and for a truck, I definitely miss having a Mustang. I do plan on getting something in the near future. I just don't know what, and I don't know exactly when, but I miss having a Mustang, that is for sure. Hopefully I can get one soon and I can start making more Mustang content again. For anyone that, you know, had been subscribed before, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on what it is that I'm driving now and how things have been going. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.